Hello everyone, Dr. Mark here with you again, and today I want to talk to you about a subject that should be important to all dog owners. It is not. Hopefully this video will give you some ideas on how to take care of that dog poop problem. Dog waste should be composted, not put into a septic tank. It heats up enough to destroy pathogens and provides nutrients that can be utilized in your yard and under your trees. Composting dog waste also keeps tons of material from being added to a landfill or sewer system that is already overwhelmed. This video will explain how to correctly make a compost heap out of your dog's waste without buying all of the things other sites are trying to sell you. It is unfortunate that since the introduction of Steve Solomon's Great Organic Gardeners composting back in the 1980s, so many people have followed his suggestions without reasoning them out. They are unaware of how to correctly compost dog stools to destroy parasites. They have recommended that dog waste not be added to compost. Since then, most articles recommend the same. For 15 years, there have been sites on the internet that claim to be composting dog waste but are actually proposing the construction of small sewage systems. Yes, you can compost your pet's poop. This video is not about teaching you how to build a dog waste septic system. If you want to do that, you can go out and buy a barrel, and then there are about 100 other sites on the internet that will show you what to do. Sewage systems that require the purchase of large plastic containers and chemical inoculants are neither friendly to the environment nor friendly to your budget. This article will tell you the benefits of correctly composting your dog's stool and also tell you how to do it properly. If you have a cat, and you use biodegradable litter, her waste can be added also. Why bother composting dog waste? Each year, tons of dog stools are thrown into trash cans and end up in sanitary landfills. When dog waste is composted, it becomes a nutrient that will improve your yard and trees. When your soil is lacking in organic matter, no amount of chemical fertilizer you purchase is going to improve things the way you want. The compost you produce, with the material you already have on hand, dog waste, will improve things the way you want. If you live in an apartment, I realize that this is not a viable option. You have nowhere to compost and wouldn't have anything to do with the compost anyway. Are there problems with using dog waste in compost? There are some pathogens that can spread from dogs to humans. Most of the bacteria will die easily, and in the Human Year Handbook the author says that roundworms can survive for 90 days in a shady area. The University of Minnesota did some research in this area and determined that in order to destroy harmful worm eggs, your compost would need to exceed 165 degrees for 5 days. The University of Oregon ran tests and determined that a compost pile that reached 130 degrees and was turned 5 times, at 3-day intervals, would no longer contain pathogens. If you live in a suburb and only have a small space, you really need to build or buy a compost system. I have added a plan here, and there are numerous videos available on YouTube to help you build a compost bin. If you need further instructions on how to utilize this composting system, you can purchase an e-book called Human Year Toilet Instruction Manual. How do I compost dog waste the right way? You do not need to buy a storage bin, and you certainly do not need to buy a chemical to add to your compost mixture. The process is ridiculously simple. 1. Mark the area where you will be composting. Some people will need to do it in a trash bin to save space, and if you have a smaller backyard, this is the best way. If you need to save money, find an old trash bin that someone is throwing out, just drill holes around the side and in the bottom of the trash bin and put it in the place where you want to make your compost. If you have a larger yard, you might want to build a compost bin out of old wood or pallets that you can get for free. If you live on a farm, just make a pile and do not even bother building a structure to hold the compost. 2. When you pick up a shovel full of dog stool, cover it with a shovel full of carbon material like grass clippings. Since the carbon-nitrogen ratio of dog stool is about 6:1, similar to chicken manure and much better than cow manure, you only need to add about 1 scoop of carbon material to cover 2 scoops of stool. I have a friend who is a carpenter, so I always have access to wood shavings. That is what I use. If you want to use grass clippings, that is fine, and since they rot quickly, they are even a better choice. 3. Every few days, toss a shovel full of old compost onto the pile so that there will be beneficial bacteria to speed up the digestion. if you need a rigid schedule, do it every Monday and Thursday. If you are starting out, just use dirt from your garden. If you have seen those other sites that tell you to buy a product and dump it on top of your compost, do not buy. Those starter bacteria are all found in dirt and you do not need to waste your money. 4. Keep the pile moist. If you have fish, add their water when you are cleaning out their tank. 5. Optional, if you really want to produce high-quality compost, add some worms. This is called vermicomposting. You will need to add fruit peelings and coffee grounds as an additional feed for the worms, but they will also eat the dog stool. They will produce a high-quality fertilizer. An acquaintance of mine has an organic coffee plantation. He maintains all of the plants only on humus produced by his worms. If you have purchased organic coffee at Starbucks or your grocery store, then you already use humus. If you use worms, you will be able to produce your own. If you are fecophobic, you can add dog waste in biodegradable bags to your compost heap. It is going to take many more years to return to soil if you use this method, and I certainly do not suggest trying to add worms as they will have nothing to feed on. Will medications in dog feces affect worms or insects? Some dogs are given a monthly topical flea control or now take an oral flea control. These medications work in several ways, but most of them affect the nervous system of insects. Those that do not cause the insect's exoskeleton to not form correctly. Heartworm preventatives like HeartGuard contain ivermectin, a chemical that could potentially affect worms, but the concentration is very small and would be unlikely to have any effect. Newer heartworm preventatives may have some effect. If you are willing to spend the time to compost your dog's stool, I hope that you use natural flea control instead of applying yet another chemical to your dog. I would not eat a teaspoonful of dog waste compost. Neither would I eat a teaspoonful of human manure compost, chicken manure compost, or even fresh dirt. If you have maintained a proper composting system, the product will have no pathogens, and I recommend it be used on your lawn, on ornamental bushes, and around your trees. I have about a dozen coconut and many banana trees that are always searching for additional nutrients. If you have fruit trees, a hedge, or a lawn, they will appreciate the compost and pay you back by flourishing. The compost is ready to be used when it looks like regular soil. I cannot tell you an exact amount of time because it will vary depending on your environmental conditions. If you live in the northern US, your compost heap will not even heat up during the winter. Here in the tropics, and with a healthy worm population working on my compost, my pile is usually ready to spread in about 3 months. I have compost piles in several areas and tend to leave them longer. If you want to destroy our environment by selfishly throwing your dog's stool into landfills, flushing it down the toilet, or, even worse, buying a product that freezes the feces before you pick it up just so that the task will be a little easier, you need to do some hard reflection. Think about it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment if you compost your dog's waste.